If you have to get from point A to point B, might as well fly. But for an immersive experience, nothing beats the open road. From city streets and highways to backcountry roads, ride along with us as we are in search of adventures in beer. From pubs to breweries, as all roads lead to foam. I'm Matt Hooker. Let's hit the road. We're about 90 miles south of the Georgia state line on Interstate 75. Today, we visit Gainesville. Now, oftentimes, if you think of Florida and you're not from here, you might think beaches and palm trees and the Florida Keys. It has all that. But this part of Florida, North Central, is rolling hills. It's got tall pine trees, massive oaks with Spanish moss dripping from them, just absolutely gorgeous. Cypress trees, and you think of some of the wildlife here. You got bear, deer, otters, raccoons, even manatees during the winter, and alligators. It's Florida. So you may have heard of the University of Florida. That's in Gainesville, UF, and they're called the Gators. In fact, their stadium is called the Swamp. And it's one of the largest universities in the country. So with that comes a lot of diversity, a lot of focus on the ecology. There's rivers and springs and lakes. These springs are just absolutely phenomenal. They're just amazing to think about. We'll talk more about those in just a second. But I want to also mention that besides education and the ecology that everybody's focused on, there's also some other things that you'll want to take note of. Beautiful museums. The Museum of Natural History is one. Attached to it is this giant atrium with pathways and waterfalls and ponds. It's a butterfly garden. It's the only one I've ever been to, but wow. I had no idea there were that many varieties of butterflies, and it's just awesome. So if you're in the area, you got to put that on your list. You got to see that. Moving on a little further from that, there's several venues throughout the city where music is played. A lot of people would associate Gainesville with music. Think Tom Petty. And that plays into so many parts of the growth and atmosphere of Gainesville. Really a beautiful little town. And if you're there, like us, you're going to want to search out craft beer. And what better place to do it than Gainesville? It has a vibrant craft beer community. For instance, there's currently about 7 breweries, there are 7 breweries in the greater Gainesville area. So Gainesville proper has 5. Starting back in, 2008. Swamphead Brewery. They started in a warehouse district, and then they grew, they built their own facility. They're probably one of the largest. There's a couple large ones. First Magnitude is another. Where'd that name come from? We'll talk about that in a moment. After them came Cypress and Grove, Grand Scheme, and a little pub, Blackadder. So Blackadder Brewing is in this English Tudor building as you go inside with all the decor and dartboards and, a little darker, little pub, big heavy furniture, very friendly atmosphere, a good variety of beers, and a bunch of guest taps also. So there's something there for everyone, and well worth the visit. Moving outside the city limits a little bit, you go to the north and you'll come to High Springs Brewing. This again is another pretty cool spot. It's a small brewery with a large outdoor space. If you're in that area, and it's called High Springs because these springs are everywhere. You come to over a little bit further to what it would be east, I guess, is Alachua. So it's about 10 miles north of town. And you have the newest brewery is Daft Cow Brewing. They opened in 2022. So going back to the brewery scene specifically, let's talk about a few of them. For instance, Swamphead. Since they're the oldest brewery in Gainesville that's still going, we're going to talk about their space that they built. It's on a hillside and sloping down. They have this retention pond covered with cypress or surrounded by cypress. They have a big gazebo they use sometimes for a music scene with a little sloping amphitheater natural on the grass. You come into the brewery itself, their logo is a cypress tree. And so you go inside and everything is this beautiful cypress. The tables, the bar top, it's a place to see. Their flagship beer, Big Nose IPA. Kind of an odd name. It comes from, a few different theories are out there because of the intense hop aroma. It's double dry hopped, and it is a solid beer. Absolutely, as a flagship beer. So they did a lot of play off of nature and ecology in the area, whether it's alligators or swamps. One of their other flagship beers is their pale ale. That's called Stump Knocker. And that comes from these flat boats that would go into the swamps, and you'd run into a cypress stump, and what are you gonna do? Crack a beer open. Hopefully you brought some along. From there we go just a few miles, 5 minutes away, and you're, well, really 10. Depends on how fast you go. You're at First Magnitude Brewing. Again, another brewery that is so tied into the community and the ecology. Their name comes from First Magnitude stars, which are the brightest stars in the sky, and also the First Magnitude springs, which are the most clear and powerful of springs. So do you know what springs are? The Florida springs come from the Florida aquifer. And that's where they get their name. The Florida aquifer is this, think of it as a big, massive underground reservoir / river with billions, with a B, billions of gallons of water that come out every single day. Some of these springs, like Silver Springs as an example, has 500 million gallons every day that pours out of this. So think of big caverns, cave systems and caverns that go through the limestone, and divers, I wouldn't do it, but they'll scuba dive down in there with flashlights and ropes, and I think it's a little crazy, but it must be fun. When you come back to the brewery itself of First Magnitude, they've did a playoff of those things with their names. For instance, their flagship pale ale is called 72. 72 is the water temperature year-round of these springs. So you might have like the Swanee River or the Santa Fe River that's all brown with tannins, and then you've got this really crystal clear water that comes up. The river might be 80 degrees or 90 degrees during summer, but that water is always 72 degrees. If the water in the river is 50 degrees in midwinter, the springs are still 72. So that's kind of cool. They did a play with their name on IPAs also. Their flagship IPA is Ursa. Well, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, you got Big Dipper, Little Dipper. So the First Magnitude stars. They are so connected with the community and the University of Florida that they have this massive outdoor space and a giant screen, and it'll be packed with several hundred people when the Florida Gators are playing, whether it's basketball, football, or whatever. They don't have a sit-down bar. That's a little different. It's only a walk-up bar, but there is a benefit to that, because as you walk up, you'd be in a long line, but that line goes fast as they have 4 or 5 bartenders, and they're very friendly staff. So that's a cool space. Now moving just 20 minutes north on 441, we come to Daft Cow Brewing. Daft Cow, how do you describe it? A 3.5 barrel brewery in a place called Tech City, San Francisco, Tech City. It's this venture that's all green, a lot of solar, water catchment systems. So they've got this maybe 30 to 50 foot wide brick roadway that goes right down through the center, and 30 to 50 foot high ceilings that are roof that's all solar. So it's outdoor space, and then you have all these different businesses, wine shop and who knows what, but then the brewery on the corner. He has done such a good job. You'll end up sitting at the bar in swings. Yeah, I've seen it once before, but he has actual 3 or 4 swings. They're tethered to the ground, so you can't go too crazy, but they're pretty popular. Of course, the cow theme permeates everything they do, and perhaps the most brilliant name for a beer that I've ever heard anywhere is their flagship beer. It's a 7.2 hazy IPA, Liquid Therapy. Man, that's a pretty cool name. And it's a very, very good beer too. So that's a little taste of Gainesville. I noticed that we're running a little out of time. Their last call. So I guess we have time for one more. And so let's just reach in here and see what we got. Oh my, would you look at that? That is, well, that's not from Gainesville. That's from Asheville. Still ends with a Ville. So let's just see what, oh, what a beautiful sound. It's like music, isn't it? And we just pour that in there. Now, if you remember last time, I didn't do a very good pour. This one I'm going to do a little bit better off to the side. And oh, my goodness, I'm going to just set that there. Still a little bit of foam. Warm glass. Oh, well. Yeah. My goodness, that's a good beer. Well, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, or whatever else is done. And be sure to join us next time for more adventures in beer as all roads lead to foam.